Let's talk about academic work-life balance. Welcome to Academic Life, the YouTube channel where we discuss all things of interest to people who work in higher education and research. I'm Mara Haslam. Today, I'd like to talk about an article that was recently published in the BMJ, the British Medical Journal. The study was written by Barnett, Mewburn, and Schroeder. The title of the article is Working 9 to 5, Not the Way to Make an Academic Living. Observational Analysis of Manuscript and Peer Review Submissions Over Time. In this study, the authors wanted to find out whether it is true that academics have to work a lot outside of normal working hours. They operationalized this by studying what time of day people submitted papers and peer reviews to two medical journals, the BMJ and the BMJ Open. The authors analyzed approximately 49,000 paper submissions and 77,000 peer reviews. They calculated the probability that a submission happened outside of normal work hours, including on weekends or holidays. The study found that the average probability that a study would be submitted on a weekend for both journals was 0.14, and the average probability that a study was submitted on a holiday was 0.08 for one journal and 0.10 for the other. The average probability of a peer review being submitted on a weekend was 0.14 for both journals, and the average probability of a peer review being submitted on a holiday was 0.13 for one journal and 0.12 for the other. The authors interpreted these probabilities as high. They also analyzed the data by country. The top 3 countries for submitting on weekends were China, Japan, and Italy, while Belgium, Japan, and the United States were the top 3 for submitting on holidays. The Nordic countries, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Norway, were consistently near the bottom of both weekend and holiday submission, along with Italy and Canada for peer reviews. The researchers found what they called a strong diurnal pattern, with a peak in both manuscript submissions and peer reviews between 3 and 5 p.m., the end of the working day. There was also a small peak during lunchtime. The countries most likely to submit late at night were China and Japan, and Denmark had a high probability of submitting during the daytime. The study did not find an increase in working out of hours over time between 2012 and 2019. So, to summarize the results of the study, average probability of a submission happening on a weekend or a holiday ranged from 0.08 to 0.14. China and Japan are notable for submitting on weekends and late at night, while the Nordics seem to have more success at submitting during work hours. In addition, there was no general change over the time studied, indicating that these numbers are relatively stable. I think most people in academia would like to work a day and then go home and not worry about work, but maybe not everyone. The authors pointed out that submitting out of work hours isn't necessarily completely a bad thing. It might be that people are putting off tasks that require concentration until they have time to focus during quiet hours. Still, it seems like our colleagues in China and Japan are feeling a lot of pressure to work outside normal work hours. The authors interpret this as evidence of a culture of overwork. Personally, I think that these numbers don't sound as terrible as the authors make them out to be. Even in China, the top average probability of manuscript submission to the BMJ on weekends is between 0.20 and 0.25. Which means that on average they are submitting during daytime hours more than 75% of the time. Also, as pointed out in a tweet by @ragbags, these are journals where the clear majority of submissions come from clinicians, whose time is even more skewed when balancing clinical work with research. @R.Tarlington quipped, "Does faffing about with the online journal submission form while watching Peaky Blinders and drinking wine on the couch really count though?" There is a lot that we can say about work-life balance in academia, and I'm sure that Academic Life will do more future videos that discuss this subject. But perhaps a good piece of advice comes from an article on work-life balance in academia that I'll link in the description. Instead of trying to balance life and work, try to integrate life and work. This involves self-care and taking opportunities to deal more with self and family when there are downtimes at work, and vice versa. Links to the sources for this video are in the description. What are your thoughts about work-life balance in academia and this article from the BMJ? What future topics would you like to see covered on academic life? Drop a note in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe and click the bell icon so you're sure to get future videos from academic life. And feel free to subscribe to our social media. See you next time.